Finding strength and staying positive. It wasn't like flipping a switch. The fear and sadness from those first chaotic times still echoed, especially when I woke up in the heavy quiet of the morning, instantly remembering this wasn't just some long, bad dream I could escape from. That urge to just hide, to pull the covers over my head and disappear from this relentless new reality, was still incredibly strong sometimes, tangled with that raw feeling of having lost all control. The storm inside didn't just vanish, but fighting alongside those feelings, almost imperceptibly at first, something else started to push back, something quiet, but incredibly stubborn, the will to find a way forward. It wasn't constant or predictable, this emerging feeling, but I began to notice moments, maybe just seconds snatched between waves of fear or exhaustion, where I felt different. A sudden clarity, perhaps? A flicker of the old energy returning? Sometimes, it was a surprising surge of pure defiance that rose up and thought, no, I will fight this. These moments often didn't last. Feeling overwhelmed could pull me back under just as quickly. That constant internal tug of war was exhausting. But I started to understand that managing this immense life change wasn't about finding some mythical, unshakable strength. It was about learning to navigate these unpredictable currents inside myself, recognizing the moments of up, however small, and consciously holding on to them as proof I could endure the moments of down. Sometimes strength felt less like winning, and more like simply refusing to completely crumble during the hard hours. And staying positive? Faced with something so huge, the idea still sometimes felt absurd. It was never about pretending or ignoring the very real fear and sadness. For me, choosing positivity became a vital coping mechanism, a deliberate strategy I realized I had to practice if I wanted to manage this overwhelming change and not just survive, but find a way to truly live again. It was a conscious decision, especially on the darkest days, about where I would focus my limited energy, how I would frame my thoughts just to keep putting one foot in front of the other. It became part of the active fight. So how did I actually do that active work? It involved many small things. I found it crucial to consciously steer my thoughts towards something concrete and hopeful, especially when fear threatened to spiral. Sometimes that anchor was a future goal, something simple like looking forward to the changing seasons or planning a quiet weekend getaway a few months away. More often, though, the most powerful anchor was focusing my mind on the people I loved. Picturing their faces, remembering happy times, feeling the warmth of their unwavering support, that gave me my why, my reason to keep fighting. It meant actively leaning on them, really talking with my spouse, reaching out to a trusted friend, allowing myself to receive their care instead of pushing them away in a misguided attempt to be strong all alone. It felt like building a small, vital shelter of positive connection. And sometimes, the thought began to form. Maybe sharing this whole experience, perhaps one day writing it down like this very book, could help someone else feel less alone. That idea itself started to feel like a purpose, a way to channel the struggle into something meaningful. Another reason to get stronger and push forward. This is also where I fully embraced seeking professional help as a cornerstone of my strength. Deciding to work with a psychologist or psychiatrist felt like actively taking charge of my mental well-being, a way to gain control in a situation that often felt uncontrollable. Having that objective, trained support was invaluable. It gave me tools to manage the anxiety, a safe space to explore the deepest fears without burdening my family, and helped me understand the emotional roller coaster I was living through. Reaching out wasn't a weakness. It felt like actively equipping myself with the best possible support for this fight. This whole process, finding strength, choosing positivity, learning to manage such profound change, was slow and messy. It truly happened bit by bit. I started noticing the small victories more, handling a tough conversation without falling apart, finding myself genuinely laughing, making it through a whole day without dissolving into tears. These weren't giant leaps. They were hard-won inches gained on incredibly difficult terrain. Bad days still ambushed me, days where fear or sadness felt heavy and inescapable. But I learned that over time, with conscious effort, day after day, focusing on hope and purpose, like this book, leaning on love, celebrating the small wins, utilizing professional support, and just plain refusing to give up, that inner strength really did grow. It became less about waiting for the storm to pass, and more about discovering, slowly, that I could find my footing and stand steady, actively pushing back, even while the wind howled around me. Finding strength is a conscious choice, an active building, one positive thought at a time. It's the foundation that holds us up. But even with the strongest foundations, the mind can still create its own storms. Worries, doubts, and the endless what-ifs can feel overwhelming. So how do we navigate that internal weather? Join me this coming Thursday as we explore practical ways of dealing with worries. If this story feels important, sharing it with someone who might need it would mean the world. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what comes next. And for the complete journey, you can always find the link to the full book in the description below.